Welcome, Crimson Warriors and readers. I am Admin Sophia. Today we are doing an interview video. Let's welcome Kyli Hart, aka Nixie.
Hi, everybody.
Now let's get on with these questions. What got you into writing originally?
Well, ever since I was little, I've always told stories. I've always had a very big imagination, and then as soon as I realized that I could put those on paper, that's pretty much all she wrote, because that's what I continued to do from there on out, even to the point of ignoring my teachers and writing in my notebook instead when I was supposed to be doing class notes.
Well, that's interesting. Do you like role playing like we do more than writing a story on your own?
Well, the thing about that is, I actually really do enjoy role playing because of the simple fact that you're not the only person in control of everything. So you have to work your way around other people's characters and their ideas and everything else, and you're not the only one who is doing any input on the story. And so I think that it's good for your writing skills to be able to communicate with other people and deal with other characters and their drama and their plot twists and everything else.
What drew you to Crimson War RPG?
I am the wonderful co-creator. So what drew me to it was me and Admin Sophia got together one day, and we was basically complaining about how it started out was we was basically complaining about some of the power ability differences between vampires and werewolves, because I've always felt that werewolves are kind of undermined in certain role-playing sites. I love CK, I really do. I love all of you from there, but I really feel that the werewolves got the short end of the stick on there, and so we decided to come together and make our own site, kind of sort of a sister site to Crimson Kiss, and kind of switched it up a little bit.
Alrighty. Do you find role playing and writing these darker sides make you less likely to do bad things in real life?
I do actually. Like, I think that it falls along the lines of the same question as, do you think that violent video games make kids want to go out and shoot people? No, I don't think that violent video games make kids want to go out and shoot people. I think that it is a form of expression, of a safe form of expression. And because basically whenever I get into a mood, and trust me, it's very often, that I want to go beat the crap out of somebody, I'll get online and I'll get on one of my more combative characters, and even if I don't have anybody to role play with, I'll just do a solo thread and I will go completely crazy. Ask the people on CK who read my thread about in Alaska, whenever she pretty much demolished an entire like town and went completely 30 days of night on like everybody.
Alrighty. What is your biggest roleplay pet peeve?
My biggest roleplay pet peeve is I love getting into roleplay fights with people. Like, I absolutely adore it. But I cannot stand someone who gets really pissy about the fact that their character got hit, and they want to completely dodge it and not allow it to happen, but they want their hits to connect with you. See, that's one of my things. Like, I can't stand it. I really, really can't. I don't expect you to let every one of my hits connect. I really don't. And I don't expect you to let every one of the hits that do connect do the damage that I intend for it to do. You know, your character can always move or dodge or, sidestep a little bit to where, instead of me hitting a kidney, I hit a hip, I mean, seriously, your character is not God. So if I'm allowing you to get hits in on my character, then it should work both ways.
Alrighty. You're very passionate about that one.
I really am.
Now to the fun questions. Any characters you relate to?
My characters that I relate to, yes, there's two of them that I really, really relate to, and that is Phoenix and Adele. A lot of people say that I'm more like Adele than Nixie. I could probably see that. because I'm a very confrontational person in reality, and Adele is a very big bitch and doesn't give a damn what anybody thinks, and she's going to state her opinion no matter where she's at or what type of situation she's in. I don't care if she's surrounded by 50 vampires and she's the only one. She's going to call them all a bunch of fanging pricks.
That's funny. Alrighty. Werewolves or vampires, and why?
Werewolves. Most definitely werewolves. Because I think that werewolves get a bad rap. Like, one of my issues as far as werewolves go is that they're these big, burly, like, humanoid dog things. And I can't stand it. I really can't. Or that, they're controlled by the full moon. That's another one of my big issues. I love my werewolves. I love them. I love the story behind them. I love the mythology behind them. I love the thought of them. Don't get me wrong, I love vampires too. But werewolves are most definitely my major species.
Alrighty. If you had one favorite character of yours, which would it be?
Of mine, that would most definitely be Nixie. She's my brainchild. She's the one who I've put so many years into. And I've been so horrible to that girl. Like, for real, if she ever became a real person outside of my head, I would be dead because of the stuff that I have put her through and the drama and the heartache and the just everything. But I love her. Even though I'm so sadistic to her, I love her.
Well, we do love our characters, even though we're viciously mean. I know that. Okay, what about your favorite couple?
You know what? Whoever gave this question, a pox on your family. Because I don't know how to answer this question without making somebody mad. Be it someone in my own head, or Admin Sophia, who I have several characters that are, love interest with, or, my lovely Savani or Allie. I love all of you guys. I really do. But I think that if I absolutely had to pick one favorite couple, it would, I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to throw it out there and you're all expecting it anyway. It would be Savani and Nixie.
I knew it. Alrighty. If you could create your own couple not from yours, who would you pair together?
See, now I really had to think about this one for a while because I was like, who would I actually pair together? But you know who I think it would be interesting just to see on like a side note of being together? I think that if I were to pair anybody together, and I would say Allie and Hyde, but they're already doing a storyline where they're together, so that kind of kicks me out. But I would like to see Kyli and Savani be together.
Ooh, wow, interesting.
Or if not Kyli, because Callie's not like an all the time person, because they have multiple personality disorder between her and Allie. If it was a person who was all the time in their right mind, I think that it would be interesting to see Rosie and Savani together, make her like a second or third wife. But I can't really see Rosie playing as second, much less third fiddle to anyone, even if it is Nixie. I just can't see her doing it. But I think it would be interesting.
All right. Favorite storylines with each of the characters you remember?
See, that's a lot.
Well, let's make it top 5.
Okay. One of my all-time favorite storylines was when Savani and Nixie were playing their cat and mouse game back whenever she was still very much in love with Taurus, and then even whenever she had met her mate, Damien. And so I think that the cat and mouse issue with Nixie and Savani was very interesting. It was a lot of fun. Me and her had a lot of fun OOC coming up with different scenarios to put them in. And different ways for them to continuously hate each other, despite how that relationship ended up playing out in the end. Another one that I really enjoy is, hang on, do we really have to do top 5?
Top 3. Top 3.
I will absolutely go through my head for all day trying to figure this out.
Top 3 minutes, top 3.
Yeah, I can do that. I really, really like the idea of Cammy and Stuart, because right now Cammy is trying to transition back into the submissive player that she was whenever her and Stuart were together before. But she spent so many years among humans and having to be very abrasive and very, self-confident in her own self. And, she had to take up for her own self for so many years that now that's kind of engraved in her personality too. And she's trying really hard to go back to being, the submissive person that Stuart had created her into. And she's not really sure how that's going to work. And my third would probably be the storyline with Kia that was started years ago, back on CK, for what Tristan was originally created for. I think that storyline would have worked out really good if we could have got more in depth in that, but that goes on to a different question, which I'll explain further later.
Alrighty. What are some plots you discussed and either never started or started but never got too deep into you wish could have been continued or finished?
Yeah, see, there's the question that I was just talking about. The storyline that I had discussed and actually started but never got to continue because Kia kind of went MIA, and then I went MIA, and then we just never really had the time while CK was still up and running to get back together and continue on with our story plan. Was Tristan was originally created to be a part of Acid and Kodiak's pack, and he was actually turned by Acid. He was a human boy who was pretty much a street rat. He was living on the streets. He was stealing for his food, stealing for his clothes, and everything else. And then Acid kind of found him, and he had an issue with vampires because they were the reasons behind his parents' untimely demise. And he seen Acid kill a vampire, and he pretty much all but demanded to know how the hell he did that and wanted to, be let in on it so that he could do it too. And so he was pretty much going to be like Acid's third in command, because he would never be above Kodiak, ever. Kodiak would not allow it. Well, I wish that could have played out a little more, because after Kia kind of went MIA, I came up with a different plan for him, and that's whenever Tristan and Kat became a thing.
All right. Okay. If the main canons you choose for your characters suddenly weren't allowed anymore, who would you choose for them in the top 6, right?
Yeah, top 6. Because I have over 20 characters, so there's no way that I was doing all of those. So, if Tristan's main character wasn't available anymore, I would probably go with Charlie Hunnam, because he's sexy, and I think that he would make a good alternative for Tristan. Nixie was a really hard one for me to decide on. It took me probably 2 months to sit there and think about it, because normally, if Avril Lavigne is taken, I will refuse to play Nixie, and I will just use one of my other characters, because I'm so attached to Avril Lavigne being her face. But I finally decided that if I had to pick somebody else for one reason or another, I think Pink would be a pretty good idea for her. Adele's face is originally Keira Knightley from Domino, with, the short cropped off hair. But if I had to choose someone else for her, it would be Michelle Rodriguez. As far as Kosai goes, if I had to choose somebody else for him, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right or not, but Oded Fur, something like that. It's the guy who played on Mummy, the Magi guy who played on the Mummy 1 and 2. Ashlyn, if I had to change her face would be Emily Browning. And the blonde version, not the brunette.
Not the Rapunzel version.
No, not that version. And Scamp, and I'm also not sure if I'm pronouncing this last name right or not, but Cam Gigadin, because he is sexy too.
Alrighty. Who intrigued you in the past, character-wise, but you really did not get to work with for one reason or another?
I've usually gotten to work with anybody who I wanted to work with, but probably the one person who, like, our schedules just never really meshed up very well for me and her to play together in, like, even just like a group thread, was one of Ellie's characters from CK. Those of you who are just CW people won't know who I'm talking about, but all the CK people know who I'm talking about when I say Ellie.
Okay. If you could take over writing for any character who has no real affiliation with any of yours, who would it be?
If I thought that I could play him properly, someone who I would love to have running around in my head is Caleb, aka the Tramp. Once again, those of you who are only CW lovies do not know who I'm talking about, but I love me some Caleb.
You're so funny. Now it's time for Nixie specific questions. How did you come up with your character's name? Nixie, of course.
Nixie is just a nickname, first off. Her full first name is Phoenix. And I love the mythology of the Phoenix. It never dies, no matter what. It always comes back to life. It rises from its own ashes and is reborn. And Nixie has been through so much turmoil and so much bullshit, mainly by my doing, because I'm evil to her. But she always manages to come back out on top. So, and that's kind of one of the personality traits that I based her off of, both because of her name and how I wanted her to be.
Any Pacific headcanons you have for Nixie?
Avril Lavigne, straight out. That's it, that's all. Pink is an alternative, but that was after months of deliberating.
And last minute.
And yeah, last minute doing, because I actually fully decided on that like yesterday. So.
All right. Why is Nixie obsessed with Adriana?
Because she's fucking sexy. The bitch is amazing. I love her.
All right. If Nixie, what did the transformation do to her mindset, and how did it change her? What species does she truly prefer?
Okay. Once again, this is an answer that only CK lovies will know about, or those of you on CW who I've explained this to. But for those of you who aren't aware of what this question means, let me give you a little bit of a background story. Nixie was originally a werewolf, okay? And she loved being a werewolf. She was very prideful about her species. Well, then one thing leads to another with Savani, and he decides to be an ass. Love you, Savani. But he decides to be an ass, and he captures her. Well, actually, she was kind of there on her own bidding, but that's a really long story to explain. Basically, she was trying to protect her pack from another all-out war, and so she gave herself up to Savani. Well, during that time, he decides that he did not like her being a werewolf, which apparently a lot of people was under the opinion that Nixie would have been a much better vampire than she was a werewolf. So Savani decided to put that opinion in action, and he created a serum that voided out her werewolf gene and turned her human, and then he forcibly turned her into a vampire. Hang on, what was the rest of that question?
And
how did it change her? It changed her drastically. She was never really a human lover exactly, because she never was human. She was born into a Lycan family. She's always known that she was a Lycan. She's always been very proud of that fact. But she never would have considered killing a human before. Well, after she turns into a vampire, she suddenly loses that morality. It kind of makes her a little deranged, actually. Especially right after the fact that she wakes up and is suddenly a vampire and no longer has her wolf counterpart in her mind. It makes her a little psycho there for a while, which she does eventually come out of, but she's much more of a sadistic person as a vampire than she is as a werewolf. And which species does she truly prefer? Well, I guess that all depends on which version of Nixie you ask. Because CW Nixie loves being a vampire. She loves being sadistic. Yeah, because she's a pureblood on CW. She never was a werewolf on CW. But she loves being sadistic. She loves torturing people. But really and truly, her heart is Lycan over vampire.
All right. That was a long one, wasn't it? If Nixie had to pick one person to spend her life with, and Savani was not allowed to be, who would she choose?
Well, Savani, honey, I love you. I really do. And Nixie loves Savani. She really, really does. Even on CK, because after the whole Stockholm Syndrome thing gets over with, and yes, there was some Stockholm Syndrome in there, she even does fall in love with Savani. But if Savani was not an option, then she would most definitely go back to her mate, who is Damien. And because she did really truly love him, and it really truly broke her heart and her soul to have to leave him and leave her daughter Aura with him and never be allowed to see him again, which was the terms between her and Savani for Savani to leave her pack intact.
All right. If Picnics could go back at any point in time to correct a grave mistake or take back a regrettable action, what would it be, and how would she change it?
I'm sure a lot of you are under the opinion that that the answer to this question would be that she would never leave Kat's pack and go, under the assumption that she could protect all of them from Savani and give herself over to Savani. I'm sure a lot of you think that that would be the answer, and that would be the most logical answer, but really it goes back a lot farther than that. If Nixie, CK-wise, could fix any grave mistake, to her, it would be falling in love with Taurus in the first place. Because if she had never fallen in love with Taurus, none of the issues with her and Savani would have ever arisen, because that mainly started because a vampire was in love with, and this is Savani's word, a weremut. And that's how that whole drama even ever began. So she never would have fallen in love with Taurus, and she never would have married him, and she would have remained in, well, at the time, what was Patrick's pack. She would have remained with them, and she never would have left them. And then half of the drama that she's been through never would have existed because there was no reason for it. And how she would fix it is, like I said, she would probably killed Taurus when she had the chance, if she was going to fix it, instead of letting him stay alive and then them two, become a couple.
All right. If Picnics had to star in a cheesy romantic chick flick, what would the title be, and who would star in it with her?
Oli Pop, I love you, darling. The title would probably be A Howler's Love. Sounds like a cheesy romance flick for werewolves. And who would star in it? None other than the lovely Tramp. And that is my wonderful, beautiful Caleb, aka Ryan Gosling.
All right. Thank you for doing this interview.
Thank you all for being here to listen to this interview. I love all my lovelies. Mwah!
If you liked today's video, please like and comment below. If you want to see more in the future, please subscribe to our channel. Hope you all have a lovely day.
You better like and comment.